Let's begin with the connective tissue proper. Here, you all can see the connective tissue proper. So we'll talk about it in detail. Connective tissue proper is composed of three components. That is different types of cells, plus the fiber and the matrix. All will make up with your connective tissue proper. So ये particular tissue में तीन चीजें हैं बेटा. एक है अलग-अलग type के cells है. Along with the different types of cells, it's also going to have certain fibers. And along with the fibers, it's going to have a matrix which will hold these fibers and the cells together. Okay, so let us first go ahead with the connective tissue property, different types of cells. Which are the different types of cells? Let us try to understand. So first type of the cell is going to be called as the fibroblast cell. Here you can see the fibroblast cell. This is the structure of it. It is largest cell of the connective tissue proper, maximum in number, rich in endoplasmic reticulum, mainly because why? Because it's going to be involved in the production of fibers. So ये जो fibers है, ये fibers protein के बनते हैं, and we know that RER is responsible for protein formation. In cell unit of life, we have seen that. So RER formation, RER is required for the protein formation, and because these particular cells are going to synthesize fibers which are made up of proteins, they are going to be rich in endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, chief matrix producing cell, so it's the one which is going to make up the matrix of this particular tissue also. Okay, so understand this beta, that this tissue is going to have cells, it is going to have fibers, and it is going to have matrix. So matrix को form करने के लिए भी whatever different types of cells that are required, this is going to be the predominant one which is involved in the formation of matrix as well. Okay, here you can see in this particular cell, like the fibroblast cell, you can see presence of ribosomes, nucleus, Golgi bodies, mitochondria, nucleus, rough endoplasmic reticulum, and secretory granules. All these are going to form these something called as fibers. So these are the fibers which are coming out of this particular cell. That means the collagen fibers are being synthesized by this cell. Yes. So the fibroblast, this is the fibroblast cell which is synthesizing these collagen fibers, and collagen is going to be a protein, correct? So it is involved in the synthesis of protein-rich fibers called as collagen. ठीक है? समझ में आ गई बात? So these gray-colored things are something. Yeah, it will secrete matrix for everything. Yes. For the entire connective tissue, whatever matrix is going to be required will be synthesized by this particular cell. Okay. Function to produce fibers, especially the collagen fibers, and to secrete matrix. These are the two main functions. Okay. The next type of cell is going to be called as the plasma cell. It's also called as the cartwheel cell. Less in number, amoeboid in shape. It does not have a peculiar shape. Function: produce, secrete, and transport antibodies. Now we know that antibodies are also immunoglobulins. They are proteins which are helping in maintaining our immune responses. So antibodies, आजकल तो बहुत famous है antibody ये नाम, हाँ, अपने कोरोना वायरस ने antibody ये नाम बहुत famous कर दिया है ना? So yeah, they are associated with our immunity. So antibody formation against a peculiar antigen. So what is antigen? What is antibody? We have got to know in detail about the HHD. That is Human Health and Diseases chapter में हम लोग इसको detailing करेंगे. Okay. It is going to move like a cartwheel. It always keeps on, moving like a cartwheel. ठीक है? Okay. It is not going to have any amoeboid processes, but it's going to be moving like cartwheel. So here you can see the antibodies are being formed. See, you can see the antibodies. So to produce, secrete, and transport the antibodies is the main function of plasma cell. No, it does not have any peculiar shape. It can be any shape. Fine. The third is going to be the mast cells, or also called as mastocytes. They are numerous, again amoeboid, small in size, structurally and functionally similar to basophils. So I hope you all remember what are basophils. What do you mean by the word basophils? Kuch yaad hai? Circulation chapter? Exactly. Yes, correct. Yes, they are the WBCs. Yes, beta, you are right, Krishna, you are right. Yeah, correct. You want me to make you understand what is the meaning of to produce and to secrete? Produce is to modify certain things and, make a product. And secrete is to generate on its own directly the antibodies. Okay, so production will be giving a final product of the raw material, and secretion would be synthesizing on its own. Fine? Yeah, good. Then, this is generally 2 to 3 lobed S-shaped nucleus. You can see this. Cytoplasm contains basophilic granules, which can be stained with basic dye, that is methylene blue. It is important cell of connective tissue proper as they perform certain important functions. So what are these important functions? Again, as you can see, this is antigen, this is antibody. So antigen antibody coagulation is brought about over here. So it is destruction of the antigen can be brought about by these mast cells. Human health and diseases chapter जो है बेटा, उसमें you will come to know about the function of mast cells in detail, of course. Okay. Yeah. What is functional difference between WBCs and plasma cells? Functional differences we have seen in circulation chapter now. Plasma cells are nothing but what? A part of your WBCs only. Okay. Fine. Let us first look at this one, that is mast cells. How is it functionally important? It is the one which will produce histamine, heparin, and serotonin. These are the 3 important secretions of the mast cells. See, histamine is a protein which is a vasodilator. Means it will increase the lumen of the arteries and veins. It's a vasodilator. Okay. Yes. These are basal. That's what they have said in the beginning only. Basophilic. Okay. They increase the permeability of blood capillaries. So they become more permeable for the influx and efflux of the substances. Okay. They all are WBCs type part. They are going to be a part of connective tissue. These are the cells of the connective tissue. So what did we see in the beginning? Connective tissue is made up of 3 types of things: cells, fibers, and matrix. So which are the different types of cells which are a component of the connective tissue? So fibroblast है, जो हमने पहले देखा था. अब ये mast cell जो है, plasma cell, all of these are what? All of these are components of connective tissue. They are present inside the connective tissue. Okay. These are the secretions, beta. Histamine, serotonin, and heparin are the secretion of the mast cells. They are not cells. These are the secretion of the mast cells. So mast cells will produce histamine, serotonin, and heparin. Okay. Histamine is a protein, that is what it's mentioned. So it is not a cell. It's a protein which is synthesized from the mast cells. Okay. They take part in allergy and inflammatory reactions. I don't know if you have ever had a mosquito bite. Did you have a mosquito bite anytime in your life? हाँ. So after the mosquito bite, you might have seen वहाँ पर जब उसको scratch करते हो तो वहाँ पर एक bubble निकल आता है. देखा है आपने? Have you seen? Yeah, a bubble-like thing just emerges outside. That is because of the histamine. So histamine is going to take part in allergy and inflammatory reactions. And after some time, after a while, that bubble will fade off. It will go off. Your skin becomes normal. Right? Yeah. So when the mosquito is going to bite us, that time it becomes red in color. That area, it gets inflamed. You feel like scratching it. Why do you feel that itching wala thing? Itching क्यों होता है वहां पर? Because of the release of histamine. So the connective tissue, that's of course the blood over here, is immediately going to start release a lot of histamine from the mast cells. Why? The reason is that bite of the mosquito, which has now entered inside our bloodstream, should not be carried to different places via the blood. So to stop them from moving, stop the saliva of the mosquito from moving in our body, it's like stopped in that place with the help of histamine. So it is going to take part in allergies and inflammatory reactions. Sometimes it's too much, like I'm okay. Second is serotonin. It's a protein again, which is a vasoconstrictor. So histamine was a vasodilator. Serotonin is a vasoconstrictor and decreases blood circulation but increases the blood pressure. At the site of cut or injury, serotonin is responsible for making, less amount of blood loss. Blood loss होता है, लेकिन वहाँ पर immediately जो clotting होता है, that is because of serotonin. Of course, along with nothing but your, do you remember the mechanism of blood clotting that we had done in circulation chapter? Yaad hai? How it enmeshes? Yes. Thromboblast. Very good. Yes. We have got the blood clotting factors. Yes, correct. So in that way, the serotonin is one of them, which is going to decrease the blood loss. So the platelets would come and form a plug, and you remember the fibers also come and enmesh those platelets and not allow the blood to ooze out. Exactly. At that same site, there will be serotonin, which will be acting over there. Third is heparin, which is the third secretion of the mast cell. That is going to be a mucopolysaccharide. See, histamine is a protein, serotonin is a protein, but heparin is a mucopolysaccharide. So what do you mean by mucopolysaccharide? It is sticky like mucus and it's a sugar. Okay, it's a polysaccharide. It's natural anticoagulant. Prevents clotting of blood in blood vessels by preventing the conversion of prothrombin into thrombin. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So it's going to be your prothrombin into thrombin का conversion वो रोक देता है. And that is one of the major reasons that heparin है, इसीलिए blood flow जो है वो liquid form में flow होता है. Otherwise, there would be a time when our blood would have made clots. Okay. And then the movement of the blood through the blood vessels would have been impaired. So heparin plays a very important role in keeping the blood in the liquid form. So who are responsible for synthesis of these three secretions? The mast cell. Yeah. Okay. Any difficulty in understanding? So first we saw the fibroblast cell, which was producing collagen fibers, which is protein. You already know the role of collagen fibers. It gives structural support. Then we saw plasma cell, which was making antibody. Then we saw mast cells, which is secreting histamine, serotonin, and heparin. Yes. Everywhere there will be heparin present. Everywhere there will be heparin. To keep the, blood in the liquid form. Any difficulty till here? Anyone who has got any problem in understanding any part of this? Role of histamine, serotonin, and heparin is frequently asked in your examinations. It's a frequent question. OST. What is 2ST? Muco is mucus like sticky. Polysaccharide is sugar. No. Not only for mosquito bites, any type of allergic reactions. Sometimes you are allergic to different things, na? So that allergy जो भी आती है ना अपनी स्किन पे रेड रैश आती है, कभी-कभी ऐसे बबल्स आ जाते हैं, कभी-कभी ब्लैकनिंग ब्लूइंग इफेक्ट आ जाता है. That is all because of histamine. Okay, so it could be anything. Okay, fine. Then the next one is going to be the adipose cells or the fat cells. So see, even the connective tissue has got these fat cells present in them. Okay, so they are oval shaped with stored fats. Fat is collected in the form of fat globule formed by the fusion of small oil droplets. So there would be many oil droplets which would come together and form a large huge droplet of oil. Fat we call it as. On the basis of number of fat globules, adipocytes are of two types: monolocular and multilocular. It's also called as white fat and brown fat. So let us understand what exactly is all these things. So see, monolocular, in these cells, single large central fat globules is going to be present. So here in the diagram, you can very well see, this is going to be what? A fat drop, which is so large that everything else gets forced to move towards the edges. So ये cell के अंदर, you can see there is a huge oil droplet, fat droplet, this grayish, whitish color, okay, beige color you can call it. In these cells, single large central fat globule is present. Nucleus in cytoplasm is towards the periphery. Cytoplasm is less in amount. Due to compression of fat globule, nucleus becomes flattened. You can see how the nucleus has got compressed. Okay. The adipocytes form white fat. So ये जो है इसको हम white fat cell कहते हैं. Okay. The second is multilocular adipocytes. Here you can see these small droplets of oil form. Can you see this? ये देखो, ये एक अकेला बड़ा भाई नहीं है. ये 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 7 different small droplets of oils can be seen in this particular diagram, right? So they are called as multilocular. So multilocular fats में क्या होता है? In these cells, 2 to 3 fat globules are distributed in the cytoplasm around the nucleus. Cytoplasm is more in quantity. Nucleus is round and is found in the center. These adipocytes form the brown fat. Now, what is the misunderstanding looking at the diagram is, ये brown color का है इसलिए तुम लोग को लगता है ये brown fat है. नहीं बेटा, ये mitochondria है. Okay, but what is happening with the mitochondria? See, mitochondria generate heat and make the cells brown. So these oil droplets would be used as a fuel, okay, to generate energy by the mitochondria, and extensive energy would be produced by the mitochondria, giving a browning effect to this particular mitochondrial cells. Okay, and therefore it appears brown in color. इसलिए ये सेल को brown fat cell कहा जाता है, इसको white fat cell कहा जाता है. इसका मतलब इसमें mitochondria नहीं है, ऐसा नहीं है बेटा, but they are few in numbers. Well, here you can see there are so many mitochondria present, right? Yes, Arpita, you're right, beta. You're right. So you understood the two types of adipocyte ke cells: white fat cells and brown fat cells, monolocular and multilocular. Any difficulty in understanding these? Got it? Then we have got something called as macrophages. Mitochondria changes, yes. Yeah, green one was the nucleus in both the cases. Yes. Then we come to macrophages. You are very well, you might be knowing this about the macrophages. It's the second largest in size. So fibroblast was largest. The second largest is macrophages. Amoeboid in shape with bean or kidney shaped nucleus. Phagocytic in nature, destroys bacteria and virus by phagocytosis. They arise by the fusion of monocytes. Now, please understand this. You know what were monocytes? You know monocytes were giving, or the large ones which we had seen in circulation chapter, right? Now these monocytes will aggregate together and they'll form macrophages. ठीक है? So monocyte का भी यही function था, अगर आपको याद है तो, to undergo phagocytosis, to destroy bacteria and virus. You remember this? Monocytes का function in circulation. I had told you all neutrophils and monocytes are phagocytic in nature. Do you recollect all those things that we had discussed? याद है? So monocytes are phagocytic in nature. Along with the monocytes, when these will aggregate together, they will form macrophages. So obviously, the primary function of phagocytosis remains the same. But it would be more extensive, it would be more elaborate, it would be more defensive mechanism now. Okay. So yeah, they arise by the fusion of monocytes. They are also called as the scavengers of connective tissue because they destroy dead or damaged cells and clean the connective tissue. So they go on phagocytosis of, the dead cells, the tissue which is, dead, or any bacteria or virus has entered into the cell. Everything will be, like phagocytosed by these macrophages. Okay. Macrophages are named differently in different organs. So what are the 3 points that you have to remember? First point, macrophages are aggregates of monocytes. Second point, monocytes being phagocytic, even macrophages are phagocytic. Okay. And third point, macrophages are the scavengers of connective tissue. These are the 3 important points that you should be remembering. Macrophages के अलग-अलग नाम हैं, जैसे कि when the macrophages are present in the lungs, we call them as dust cells. Liver में है macrophages, Kupffer cells. We have already seen the Kupffer cells. Liver we have done already in digestion chapter. Blood, monocytes. Brain, microglial cells. Thymus gland, Hazel's granules. Spleen, reticular cells. Okay, correct. So please remember the names बेटा. ये सारे के सारे macrophages ही है, लेकिन अलग-अलग उनको नाम दिया गया है depending upon which organ they are present in. So especially Kupffer cells, microglial cells, Hazel's granules are all, like we have done about them earlier. But you should be aware of the fact that they all are macrophages because they are phagocytic in nature, basically. Okay. Look at this macrophage, you will understand the things better. A very beautiful and descriptive diagram they have shown over here. See, macrophage moving towards the bacteria. So this is the bacterium which is trying to invade our body. So the macrophages are reaching out there. You can see the processes which are coming out from the macrophages to catch hold of the bacteria. Now they have caught hold of the bacteria and they are being engulfed. इनको खाया जा रहा है, cell के अंदर लिया जा रहा है. You can see they were present in the matrix of the connective tissue. Now they are inside the macrophage. They are being engulfed. So ये जो processes है जिसको हम pseudopods कहते हैं, है ना? So the pseudopods are coming and trying to engulf this bacteria. Third में देखो, bacteria contained within a vesicle. So now they have completely encircled the bacteria and you can see एक vesicle बना लिया, एक पोटली बना ली. Yeah, it's like a food, exactly. है ना? So now they are trying to take hold of that bacteria, like, उसको अंदर की तरफ खींच रहे हैं. Then you can see cell unit of life का part है ये बेटा, the lysosome. The lysosome is now fusing with the phagosome. You remember these words? To form phagolysosome. ये हमने cell unit of life में किया था. Now what has happened? See, the bacteria is being destroyed. So now this is your secondary lysosome. This is going to be your lysosome which is now getting destroyed. And if there is any undigested part remaining of the bacteria, we call it as residual lysosome. I hope you all remember all these things. Correct? But the bacterial activity is completely destroyed. Okay? Fine? Yeah. And this is the macrophage basically with endoplasmic reticulum, ribosome, lysosome, mitochondria, nucleus, nucleoid, Golgi bodies. Everything is going to be present in the macrophages. Any difficulty in understanding any point of macrophage? Anything not followed better? Anyone who has got any difficulty or doubt in understanding this? Done? Clear? Okay. Then we have got something called as lymphocytes. They are nothing but your What are lymphocytes? Bolo. WBCs, exactly. Very good, Sanika. Yes. So they are less in number, small in size, having a ovoid shape. A large nucleus is present. Cytoplasm is present as a peripheral layer. Cytoplasm quantity is quite reduced. Fine. They produce, transport, secrete antibodies. So just like your plasma cells, basically, lymphocytes and plasma cells, I would say they are almost the same. Almost the same. They divide to form plasma cells of the connective tissue proper. So that's why I said almost the same. So see, beta, aggregation of monocyte is macrophage and division of lymphocyte is plasma cells. Okay. So when the lymphocytes will break, they will give rise to plasma cells. And when the monocytes will aggregate, they will give rise to macrophages. Okay, there is no complication. The only thing is, by hook or by crook, our immune system is so well adapted to take care of any infection, any bacterial infection, any viral infection. They want to keep our body safeguarded. What is the complication in that? हाँ? लिम्फोसाइट्स एक है, उनके जब क्लोन्स बनते जाएंगे, लिम्फोसाइट्स के क्लोन्स बनते हैं, they divide to form several clones. So these clones, tell her I'm in lecture. So these clones are nothing but that many soldiers are created to take care of the load of that much amount of infection. Okay, that's very important. Similarly, there would be, like there are many monocytes present, but probably individually they cannot take care of the dushman. वो इतने सारे हैं, छोटे छोटे हैं, तो अकेले ना वो उस दुश्मन को मार नहीं पा रहे हैं, तो they unite together to form a large unit called as macrophage, and then they take care of that particular infection. So there are different methods that our body is, equipped with to take care of the different types of invading bacteria or virus or whatever, okay, to get rid of them. See how beautiful our immunity is, altogether. But we have to improve the number of lymphocytes, the number of monocytes. जब तक हम इनको नहीं बढ़ाते, तब तक हमारी immunity कैसे बढ़ेगी? और इनको बढ़ाने के लिए हमें क्या करना है? You should have a well-balanced food, basically. Okay, so all of these are very important, very, very beautifully, like they have talked about it. Did you all understand what is the difference between lymphocyte, plasma cell, and monocyte and macrophages? किसी को कोई difficulty है बेटा? Anyone who has not understood any point or is still confused about it? No? Good. Yeah, that's all with the cells. So the connective tissue was made up of cells, fibers, and matrix, as I said. So cells सारे हमारे हो गए पढ़ के. Now we are coming to the fibers. Okay. Yes, Bhumi. Yes, but they are the aggregations of the monocytes. You're right. You know what? I had a student who was a South Indian. So when I was teaching him this, I was teaching that class about this now. So he correlated this kahani with one of some South Indian movies. I am very bad at Hindi movies. South Indian movies तो मेरे मतलब not cup of my tea, मतलब कुछ मुझे पता नहीं है उसके बारे में. हाँ, मैंने बताया था ना. हाँ, तो वैसा ही है वो कि एक नॉर्मल सा बंदा है और कुछ फाइटिंग हो रही है दुश्मन में, और उसमें the villain is fighting with the hero, है ना? हाँ, yes. So it is the same story, like ultimately he gets the power from nowhere and becomes a macrophage. Okay, he collects all his power, all his energy from nowhere, becomes a macrophage, and now attacks the villain. Same thing. Okay, so it's so simple. Like like union of all the monocytes will make up the macrophage, and clones of the lymphocytes will make up the plasma cells. Okay. Yes. So in the connective tissue, we have completed with the cells. There are only 3 fibers that we have to look into. First is collagen fibers, also called as white fibers, elastin fibers or yellow fibers, and reticular fibers. So collagen fibers are bright white, made up of collagen protein. They are unbranched, but they are wavy. They are not elastic at all, but they provide mechanical support. ठीक है? Elastic fibers, नाम से ही पता चल रहा है. They should be highly flexible and elastic, right? So they are yellow. They are made up of elastin protein. They are single and they are branched. Maximum elasticity is provided due to the presence of this elastin fibers. Example, ligament which connects bone to bone. We have done locomotion chapter and you know BLV. BLV तुम्हें पता है ना? Bone, ligament, bone. I have told you. Yes, Kinjal, you're right, beta. You're right. Okay, so that ligament जो है, जो bone और bone को connect करता है ना, it is highly elastic. It is because of this elastic fibers present in them. That is your yellow fibers. Reticular fibers made up of reticulin protein, freely branched but non-elastic. So see, reticular fibers are sharing the properties of collagen also and elastin also. See, they are branched, which is the property of elastic fibers, but they are non-elastic, which is the property of collagen fibers. Okay, so different areas in our connective tissue would be having mechanical strength के लिए collagen fibers, elasticity के लिए elastic fibers, and reticular fibers as well, where elasticity is not required, but branching and support is required. So these are the 3 fibers. That's it. Is it simple? So connective tissue ka second part are fibers. That is what they have written. B. A was your cells. B is going to be your fibers. And the third one and the last is going to be the matrix. Any difficulty in understanding these? है कोई difficulty बेटा? Can I move ahead? Okay. That's the matrix. Matrix is composed of mucopolysaccharide, which is present in the form of hyaluronic acid. So it's a mucopolysaccharide. Just now I told you it's a bit sticky. Mucus के जैसा है. Okay. एक mucus के जैसा है, sticky है, and it's a polysaccharide. That is, it's a long chain of sugar that makes up the matrix. It is present in the form of hyaluronic acid. The acid which is going to be present is going to be the hyaluronic acid. So different cells we have seen, 3 fibers we have seen, and we have also seen the matrix. Correct? So A, B, C, 3 components of connective tissue we have understood. Any difficulty in understanding these? What the connective tissue is made up of? ये सबसे पहले समझा. Yes? Okay. Now let us go ahead with the types. So what are the different types of connective tissue? So we have got connective tissue proper, supportive connective tissue, and fluid connective tissue. Connective tissue proper में we have got loose and dense. Loose में more matrix, less fibers. Example, adipose tissue and areolar tissue. These are the examples of connective tissue proper which are loose. Connective tissue proper which are dense, more fiber and less matrix. Okay. Example, ligament, tendon, white fibers, that is collagen fibers, elastin fibers. सारे ये जो connective tissues है dense में वो सारे ये. Fluid connective tissue is blood and lymph, which we have done in detail in the chapter of circulation. So we have to understand connective tissue proper, that is areolar tissue and adipose tissue. Okay. Loose connective tissue. It consists of cells which are scattered within an amorphous mass of proteins that forms the ground substance. I have already told you what is the ground substance. Okay, the substance which is going to hold all the cells fibers together is the ground substance. The gelatinous material is strengthened by the long scattering of protein fibers such as collagen, elastin, which makes tissue elastic, and reticulin, which supports the tissue by forming a meshwork of collagen. So ये देखो बेटा, ये जो कनेक्टिव टिश्यू लूज वाला है ना, इसमें सेल्स जो है वो स्कैटर्ड है, मतलब फाइब्रोब्लास्ट हो, प्लाज्मा सेल्स हो, मोनोसाइट मैक्रोफेजेस हो, मास्ट सेल्स हो, एडिपोज सेल्स हो, जो भी सेल्स हमने अभी तक देखे हैं ना, दे वुड बी इन अ स्कैटर्ड फॉर्म. दे आर नॉट ऑर्गेनाइज्ड, दे आर स्कैटर्ड. Along with them, they have got fibers like collagen fibers, elastin fibers, and reticulate fibers. All three fibers are also going to be present in that particular loose connective tissue. And the matrix is going to be amorphous. Amorphous का मतलब समझते हो ना? Which is gelatinized. It's in a gelatin form. So this makes up your loose connective tissue का basic thing. So whenever loose connective tissue दिमाग में आता है, you should think of 3 points. Cells are scattered, fibers, all three are present, and it's a gelatinous material. These are the 3 things that you have to remember for loose connective tissue. Okay. In this, we have got to know 2, areolar tissue and adipose tissue. दो ही examples है. Let us see the areolar tissue, also known as spongy tissue. It is most widely distributed tissue in the body. In this tissue, maximum intercellular space or substances or matrix is present. So there is, like दो cell के बीच में बहुत ज़्यादा matrix present होता है. Due to irregular arrangement of the bundle of collagen fibers, many gaps are present. These gaps or the spaces are called as areolae. Okay. In areolae, other components of the connective tissue are distributed, like fibers would be present, cells would be present, and matrix would be present. Correct? Few elastic fibers are present, but reticular fibers are completely absent in areolar connective tissue. So, in general, we saw there could be all 3, but specifically in areolar tissue, reticulate fibers are absent. Okay. Mast cells, macrophages, fibroblasts are more in amount. It occurs beneath the epithelia of many visceral organs like skin and also in the walls of the blood vessel. So where is this areolar tissue going to be predominantly found? Below the epithelia of visceral organs. Also in the skin, we have got this areolar tissue, and also in the walls of the blood vessels. Fibroblast is the main cell. We already know that fibroblast is going to be the one which is going to synthesize collagen, elastin. Okay, so it's going to be maximally found. Got it? All the characteristics of areolar tissue are clear. What is areolae, Samjha? Due to irregular arrangement of the collagen fibers, many gaps are present, and these gaps would be called as areolae. Second is adipose. We have already seen white fat and brown fat. उसी के aggregates को हम tissue कहेंगे, of course. So it's the modification of areolar tissue. But in areolae, major component is adipocytes, which store fats. Blood vascular system is also present in this tissue. If this tissue is treated with alcohol, fat will be dissolved and adipocytes will become vacuolated. This tissue can be stained with the solution called as Sudan solution. इसको हम Sudan बोलते हैं, वो dye को, वो stain को. On the basis of adipocytes, 2 types of fats are found, white and brown, which we have seen just now. Okay. Understood what is adipocytes or adipose tissue? Areolar tissue and adipose tissue. Adipose tissue will have white fat या फिर brown fat present in it. That is the name. Third point, vacuolated vacuoles, presence of vacuoles. What are vacuoles? What are vacuoles, beta? Huge spaces which can be occupied by anything else. Okay. So loose connective tissue समझ में आ गया? Loose connective tissue is going to be two, areolar tissue and adipose tissue. Areolar में collagen fibers का haphazard arrangement की वजह से gaps create होते हैं, spaces create होते हैं, इसलिए उसको areolar कहा गया. And adipose tissue में maximum adipocytes present है, that is white fat and brown fat cells will be present. Okay. And adipose tissue is predominantly found in visceral organs and also, under the skin also. So fat जहाँ जहाँ तुम्हें लगता है कि fat accumulation हो सकता है, adipose tissue is predominantly looking there. Okay. Dense connective tissue is the second one. Okay. Fibers and fibroblasts are compactly packaged into the dense connective tissue. Orientation, there it was loose. It was scattered. Here it is compactly arranged. Orientation of fibers shows regular or irregular pattern and are called as dense regular tissue and dense irregular tissue. So if the fibers are arranged in a very regular pattern, okay, we call it as regular dense tissue, dense regular tissue. And if the fibers are, not organized in a proper way, we call it as dense irregular tissue. But it is dense. Why is it dense? Because the fibroblast and fibers are compactly packed. उनका जो compaction है, वो बिल्कुल perfect है. In the dense regular connective tissue, the collagen fibers are present in rows between many parallel bundles of the fibers. Example, tendons and ligaments. So tendons and ligaments are the examples of dense regular connective tissue. Okay. Dense irregular connective tissue has fibroblasts and many fibers that are oriented in different directions. So they are not in a perfect oriented form. This tissue is present in the skin, in perimysium, perineurium, and as bones में periosteum. Okay. Perimysium कहाँ होगा बेटा? Can anyone tell me what is perimysium? Perineurium, तो नाम से पता चलेगा, around the neurons. Periosteum, bones. What is perimysium? M-Y-S-I-U-M. Perimysium. Come on. We have done this. What is perimysium? Peri means around. Very good, Bhumi. Yes. You're right. Trisha, even you're right. Yes, muscle fibers. Correct. All of you all are correct. Yes, beta. Yes, Vidhi, even you are right. Kinjal is right. All of you all are right. Correct. So perimysium is around the muscle cells. Okay. Periosteum is around the bone cells. Perineurium is around the surrounding the neurons. So there it will be dense, irregular connective tissue. Okay. Okay. So we are into connective tissue proper. Connective tissue proper may loose and dense. Loose may areolar and adipose we have already seen. Dense may we have got regular and irregular. Regular is going to be tendons and ligaments. Irregular is going to be perimysium, perineurium, periosteum. No confusions? Clear? Let us see regular and irregular now. Okay. White fibrous connective tissue. Bundle of collagen fibers are more in quantity and other components of the connective tissue are less. It has great tensile strength. White fibrous है बेटा, collagen है, strength देता ही है collagen fibers. Yellow fibers and reticular fibers are completely absent. Its presence at joints between the skulls, and that makes the skull bones immovable. We have already seen these. The skull bones are immovable, if you remember. Correct? On the basis of arrangement of fibers and matrix, this tissue occurs in two forms, cord and sheath. Okay. So bundle of collagen fibers and matrix are distributed in regular pattern, alternate pattern, Fibroblast cells are arranged in a series. Mast cells are scattered in the matrix. Example, tendon which connects muscles to the bones. So you remember this? Tendons were connecting muscles with the bones and ligaments were connecting bones to the bones. Sheath. In this form, there is no regular pattern of fibers and matrix. Cells and fibers are crisscrossly arranged. Example, pericardium. Now, name se pata chal raha hai. Pericardium means around the where? Cardium. Heart. Yes. Yes. Cardiac cells. Correct? So, व्हाइट फाइब्रस कनेक्टिव टिश्यू जो होता है बेटा, ये कॉर्ड के फॉर्म में प्रेजेंट होगा या फिर शीट के फॉर्म में प्रेजेंट होगा. कॉर्ड समझते हो ना, लाइक अ वायर, एंड शीट वुड बी लाइक अ बेड शीट. ओके, सो इफ इट्स इन द वायर्ड फॉर्म, इट इज गोइंग टू बी टेंडन. If it is going to be in a bed sheet form, it is going to be around the pericardium, हार्ट के आजू बाजू. ठीक है, got it? Yellow fibrous connective tissues किधर होते हैं? And what are those? Yellow fibers are more in quantity, but collagen fibers are present in them. इसका मतलब है collagen fibers can exist all alone without the yellow fibers. But the yellow fibers require at least some amount of collagen fibers. So here they have given, see, yellow fibers and reticular fibers are completely absent in white fibrous connective tissue. While in yellow fibrous connective tissue, collagen fibers are present. Fine. Of course, reticular fibers are absent. On the basis of distribution of fibers and matrix, again, they are going to be classified as cord and sheath. So this cord is going to be bundle of collagen fibers and matrix distributed in a regular pattern in matrix of yellow fibers to form a network. Okay. Example is ligaments, a structure which is going to connect bone to bone. So see beta, because ligaments are highly elastic, of course they're going to have yellow fibers. Correct? Tendons are non-elastic, so they're going to have collagen fibers. Fine? Got it? अभी कभी कभी ligament pull होता है, आपने देखा है? Have you all heard about this? The ligament is pulled. कभी अगर आप कुछ स्पोर्ट्स कर रहे हो या फिर चलते चलते पैर ट्विस्ट हो गया, then you go to the doctor says nothing, don't worry, it will heal on its own. It pains very badly, but then the doctor will say it's okay, it will heal on its own, you can apply something, ointment over there, it's just a ligament pulling. So why ligament pull होने पर इतना दर्द होता है? उसमें तो elastic fibers है, then why it should still pain? Because it is going to have some amount of collagen. So the pain is because of the stretching of the collagen fibers of the ligaments. But tendon, there is tearing of tendon. You have heard about this? What to do to reduce it? Nothing. You have to have a very good, exercise regime. The more you do, flexible cardio, जितना तुम ज़्यादा करोगे ना, cardio करोगे ना gym में या घर पे भी, the cardio will help your, elastin fibers to actually become freely elastic. That's the only way out. Yeah. It starts after an exercise. Exactly. So if you have joined the gym very recently, then first day एकदम जोश में तुम gymming कर लेते हो, हाँ, मजा आता है तुम्हें gym करने के लिए. Second day भी थोड़ा बहुत कर ही लेते हो. Third day आने पर the way it pains, you feel I'm not in the position to move myself. You get completely, stuck up, right? Yeah. The legs and the hands and your neck, your back and your joints are paining so badly. Correct? Why does this happen? Because your ligaments are getting stretched and pulled beyond your normal day's activity. And that is not going to have a problem. The problem is इसके जो ligament के अंदर yellow fibers के साथ white fibers है ना, वो stiffness देते हैं. They give the stiffness. Okay, that is the reason your body becomes stiff. Did you all understand? हाँ, so first day में थोड़ा सा दर्द होता है, no doubt. Okay? Yes. Yeah. So, yeah, Vedant, you're raising your hand continuously. What is your doubt, beta? Just put up your doubt in the chat box so that I can answer your query. You're raising your hand. I can see flickering of your hand. Okay, that's fine. If you have got any query, put it, beta. No problem. I'll clear your query. But जब tendon tearing होता है ना, then that particular person is like, you know, made to rest for almost more than a month. The tendons ka pulling or the tendons ka tearing will take more time to heal because it is the collagen fibers which will take time to heal again because they are not elastic. Okay, collagen fibers are not elastic. So tendons में elasticity नहीं होती है बेटा, but ligaments में होती है. और इसीलिए दो बोन्स के बीच में आप इतना अच्छी तरह से आपके सारे बोन्स मूव कर आ सकते हो ओनली बिकॉज ऑफ दिस थिंग. तो मसल पे अगर प्रेशर आएगा तो टेंडन्स पे प्रेशर आएगा, टेंडन्स पे प्रेशर आएगा तो गंदा वाला दर्द होता है, लिगामेंट्स पे प्रेशर आएगा तो फ्री हो जाते हैं इवेंचुअली. ओके, दैट्स अबाउट द कॉर्ड. एंड शीथ इज इरेगुलर डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन लाइक अ what I say, like a bed sheet के जैसा, it's a, you know, wrapping around wala position with matrix with elastic fibers. Example, sheath would be present in the alveoli of the lungs. That is the reason the alveoli can expand, come back to their normal, right? Walls of bronchioles, walls of lymph, walls of blood vessels, through vocal cords, जहाँ stretching जरूरी है ना, in all those areas, there would be the presence of these sheaths of yellow connective tissue. Okay, understood? Wherever there is elasticity required, all those areas will be having yellow connective tissue. That is your elastin fibers. So if those elastin fibers are going to be present in the form of cord, we call them as ligaments. And if it is going to be in the presence of sheath, okay, or coverings, we call them as sheath. Any difficulty in understanding these points? Cord of collagen fibers, cord of elastin fibers. Sheath of collagen fibers, sheath of elastin fibers. All okay? No confusion in your mind? Cord of collagen fibers, tendons. Cord of elastin fibers, ligaments. Sheath of collagen fibers, pericardium. Okay. Sheath of elastin fibers, all those areas which require elasticity. Got it? All of you? Yes? So this is the difference that they have given about the tendon and the ligament directly. It's composed of white fibrous connective tissue, composed of yellow fibrous connective tissue. Fibroblast, the cells of the tissue, line almost continuous rows. Ligaments may they lie scattered. It joins muscle to a bone. It joins bone to another bone. It is tough and inelastic. It is strong, but it is elastic. Okay, so this is the distinguish between tendon and ligament for 2 marks. They asked you this question in your examinations. So you have to write down 4 points, which are the distinguishing characters of tendon and ligament. Simple now? Okay. The third is radicular fibrous tissue, which is also called as your lymphoid tissue. So we saw that the collagen and the elastin fibers are going to be a part of tendons and ligaments respectively. But what about the reticular fibers? Where is that going to be present? So it's going to be present in the lymphoid tissue. It is mostly found in the lymphoid tissue. Reticular fibers are more in abundant amount and form dense network around star-shaped reticular cells. So you can see over here in this diagram, these are the star-shaped radicular cells. See. Around them, you have got this, okay, tissue scatter. They are phagocytic in function. They provide support and strength and form the stroma. That is the framework of the soft organs. Example, these are going to be lymphoid tissue. Spleen is going to be an example of lymphoid tissue. Lymph nodes, that is tonsils, paired patches. We have done all these things. Huh? I hope you recollect all these names. Are going to have this reticular fibrous tissue. Okay, fine. So these are the three types of tissues which are going to be a part of your connective tissue. Okay, that's all with your connective tissue proper. Fine. Now we come to the second one, that is connective tissue supportive. The one which supports our entire body. Matrix is dense, mineralized. Due to the deposition of minerals, this tissue becomes hard. It is also known as skeletal tissue from skeleton of the body. Two types of supportive connective tissue, cartilage and the bones. So locomotion chapter में हमने cartilage and bones पूरे डिटेल में देखे थे, तो इसलिए ये आपके लिए बहुत easy हो जाएगा आप समझना. Cartilage is solid, semi-rigid, flexible connective tissue. Cartilage is, you know, present at the tip of our nose, ear pinna. So you can actually, you know, twist and turn the cartilages. They'll come back to normal. While bones are solid, rigid connective tissue. Bones को आप ऐसे ये नहीं कर सकते हो, fold नहीं कर सकते हो, टूट जाएगा bone. हड्डी है वो. Okay. So two types of supportive connective tissue, cartilage and bones. Cartilage. Outermost covering of the cartilage is called as perichondrium, which is composed of white fibrous connective tissue. Cartilage producing cells are arranged on the periphery, which are called as chondroblast. Now remember these words, chondroblast, chondroclast, chondrocytes. All these are, you know, chondrio ये word आता है ना तो दिमाग में cartilage आना चाहिए बेटा. Osteo ये word आता है तो दिमाग में bones आना चाहिए. These are the keywords. Okay. Chondroblast are active cells. They divide to form chondrocytes. They also synthesize the matrix of the cartilage. So chondroblast will synthesize chondrocytes as well as matrix of the cartilage. Mature cells of cartilage are called as chondrocytes. They are found in vacuoles, like spaces in matrix called as lacuna. In lacuna, there would be 2 to 3 chondrocytes present. Chondroclast are cartilage destroying cells. So chondroblasts are cartilage producing cells and chondroclasts are cartilage destroying cells. हाँ? ठीक है? ये देखो. Matrix of the cartilage provides rigidity and elasticity to the cartilage. Blood circulation is absent in the matrix of the cartilage. There are 3 different types of cartilages: hyaline cartilage, fibrous cartilage, and calcified cartilage. We are going to talk about all the 3 types of cartilages. I think I had told you that hyaline cartilage के बारे में मैंने आपको पहले बताया था. Hyaline का मतलब होता है glass-like, clear. Okay, so let us talk about each of them. See, this is the hyaline cartilage. ये ऐसे ही दिखता है under the microscope. Most of the part of the embryonic skeleton is composed of hyaline cartilage. Therefore, maximum bones of the body are cartilaginous bones because they are developed from this cartilage. Outermost covering is called as perichondrium. You can see over here, this is going to be called this is going to be called as perichondrium. Correct? Matrix is of this cartilage is glass-like, clear or hyaline. Fibers are completely absent in this. You can't see ये matrix में आपको कहीं पर fibers दिखाई दे रहा है बेटा. Not a single fiber is seen over here. Therefore, it is clear, glass-like, crystal clear. Okay. Fibers are completely absent in the matrix of this cartilage. Only few collagen fibers may be present. Color of the matrix is bluish and it is translucent. It's not transparent, but it is translucent. It's not opaque as well. थोड़ा बहुत तो visibility दिखाई देती है. Is it fine? This is your hyaline cartilage. Understood what is hyaline cartilage? How does it look like? And it is going to be present in the embryonic form maximal. समझा? ये देखो ये कॉन्ड्रोब्लास्ट है जो अल्टीमेटली कॉन्ड्रोसाइट बनाएंगे और ये कॉन्ड्रोसाइट्स देखो बेटा लैक्यूने के अंदर प्रेजेंट है. ये जो व्हाइट कलर का पेरिफेरल पार्ट दिख रहा है दैट इज गोइंग टू बी कॉल्ड एज लैक्यूने. ओके, और ये लैक्यूने में ये कॉन्ड्रोसाइट्स प्रेजेंट है. ओके, यस. Where is it going to be present? Nasal septum. Hyaline cartilage is present in our nasal septum. It's a part of our C-shaped rings of trachea and bronchi. It's going to be a part of the sternum of the ribs. उधर भी hyaline cartilage है. Larynx में thyroid, cricoid, arytenoid. We have seen all of them. In breathing and exchange chapter, I had talked about thyroid, cricoid, arytenoid. सब मैंने बात की थी. Maximum part of larynx is composed of hyaline cartilage. Articular cartilage at the junction of two long bones. Junction of two long bones. We have got the articulating surface. At the end of the long bone, periosteum is absent and hyaline cartilage is present, which is known as articulating cartilage. If you remember the joints, ball and socket joint, याद है आपको? हमने locomotion chapter में किया था. और जब मैंने आपको जॉइंट्स के बारे में पढ़ाया था तो मैंने बोला था कि एक साइनोवियल मेम्ब्रेन होती है एंड ऑलवेज देयर इज गोइंग टू बी द हाइलीन कार्टिलेज प्रेजेंट ओवर देयर. आई रिमेंबर इट वेरी क्लियरली व्हेन आई हैड shown you the diagram of the hyaline cartilage as well with the synovial membrane and the synovial fluid. Right? Yes. So all these are the locations where the hyaline cartilage is going to be found. Now you will know the difference between hyaline and matlab clear cartilage and dense cartilage. Look over here. This is fibrous cartilage. Now it's going to have what? See, fibers scattered everywhere, and these are elastic fibers. So under fibrous cartilages, we have got two types. The first is elastic cartilage. Here also perichondrium is present. In this matrix, yellow fibers form a framework. It's highly flexible cartilage of the body. Color of the matrix is pale yellow. That was bluish. Hyaline cartilage was bluish. Fibrous cartilage is yellowish because of the presence of yellow fibers present in them. Okay. Where are they going to be found? Tip of the nose, ear pinna, epiglottis, xanthrony, cartilage of xanthrony in the larynx, wall of eustachian tube. All of these would be made up of elastic fibrous cartilage. Here also you can see the lacuna. Here also you can see the chondrocytes. The only difference is the matrix is going to have elastic fibers scattered everywhere, which was not a part of our hyaline cartilage. So now understood the difference between hyaline cartilage and fibrous cartilage? Huh? Easy है ना अभी? If that matrix would have white collagen fibers scattered, it would be called as white fibrous cartilage. So perichondrium is absent in this case because complete white fibrous connective tissue is converted into a cartilage. The matrix bundle of collagen fibers is more in quantity, so it is one of the strongest cartilages. It is present in pubic symphysis. Locomotion chapter again. You know what is pubic symphysis? I told you ilium, ischium, remember? And the pubis, they merge together to form a connection in which you have got the white fibrous connective cartilage. Right? Intervertebral disc, you remember, slightly movable अपना intervertebral disc will have white fibrous connective tissue का cartilage. A pad of cushion-like structure which absorbs mechanical shock and jerks and protects the vertebral column is nothing but your intervertebral disc. I had told you all about the slip disc if you remember. मैंने आपको बताया था slip disc हो जाता है तो ये दो vertebrates के बीच में ये जो cushion है ये निकल जाती है, slip off होती है. So this cushion is nothing but it is made up of this white fibrous cartilage. Understood? So fibrous cartilages could be elastic one also or collagen one also. कोई भी हो सकता है. ठीक है? And lastly, we have got calcified cartilage. It is modified hyaline cartilage, but due to the deposition of calcium salts, its matrix becomes hard like bones. So ये actually hyaline cartilage ही है, but as we age, है ना? The more we become older and older, there will be calcification of the cartilages. That means there will be calcium deposits taking place in the hyaline cartilage, and which will make it hard. Calcium आ गया तो hardness आ गया बेटा, है ना? So this is the hardest cartilage of the body, and it's going to be found in the head of the femur and the humerus. I hope you remember femur क्या है और humerus क्या है. याद है कुछ ऐसे कुछ आपने पढ़ा था कभी लाइफ में, फीमर एंड ह्यूमरस? मेरे फ्रेंड को मैंने मेरे लैब पे बिठाकर आपको दिखाया था. यस यस आई एम श्योर राइट. यस कृष्णा करेक्ट बेटा. ओके या सो yes, so this is how the three types of cartilages have been classified. Hyaline cartilage, which is clear. Fibrous cartilage, which will have scattered yellow fibers or white fibers, and calcified cartilage, where there will be deposition of calcium. Any difficulty in understanding supportive connective tissue cartilage? Understood? Differences. Bone is composed of tough, inflexible material called as the ossein. Cartilage matrix is composed of firm, strong material, chondritic. Matrix is always impregnated with calcium salts. Matrix may be free or impregnated with calcium salts. Impregnated means present. Okay, present. Bone cells lie in lacunae singly. Cartilage cells lie in lacunae singly or in groups of 2 or 4. Osteocytes are irregular and give off branching processes in the developing bone. Chondroblasts are oval and devoid of processes. So osteocytes जो होते हैं ना, वो ऐसे स्टार शेप बन के ऐसे है ना प्रोसेसेस बाहर निकालते हैं, जो हमने ऑलरेडी देखे हैं, but still I'll revise it. Chondrocytes circular spherically रहते हैं. Lacunae give off canaliculi. Lacunae lack canaliculi. Canaliculi are thin hair-like processes coming out of the cell. Okay. There are outer and inner layers of special bone-forming cells, the osteoblast, that produces new osteocytes which secrete new lamellae of the matrix. There are no special cartilage-forming cells. Cartilage grows by division of chondroblast. Matrix occurs largely in concentric lamellae. Matrix occurs in homogeneous mass, scattered everywhere. Matrix is uniformly scattered. Bone is highly vascular, means it will be supplied with blood. Cartilage is non-vascular. It will not have any blood supply. Bone may have bone marrow at the center. Cartilage will never have any such cavity or marrow at the center. Okay, so these are the differences between cartilages and bones. We have seen cartilages. We are yet to see the bones, which we are going ahead with right now. Bone. The study of bone is called as osteology. Process of bone formation is called as ossification. Hardest tissue of our body is the bone. Outermost covering of the bone will be called as periosteum, which will be composed of white fibrous connective tissue. Bones producing cells will be called as osteoblast. Mature cells of the bone will be called as osteocytes. They would be found inside a hollow structure called as the lacunae. Only one osteocyte will be present per lacuna. Bone destroying cells will be called as osteoclasts, same like we have seen in chondroclasts. Matrix, it consists of two parts, inorganic part and the organic part. Osine is the protein actually, which makes up the matrix of the bone. It is made up of mineral salt, hydroxyl apatite. बेटा ये क्वेश्चन रेगुलरली पूछा जाता है, एनसीईआरटी में नहीं दिया है लेकिन आपके गवर्नमेंट टेक्स्ट बुक में दिया है एंड लोकोमोशन चैप्टर में ये पार्ट है एंड लोकोमोशन चैप्टर आपके 12th के बोर्ड का पोर्शन है. So don't forget this name of the salt, hydroxyl apatite. Okay, this is the salt which is present in the matrix of the bones. I would suggest you copy down this name of the salt present in the matrix of the bone. Please, it is important. It has been asked so many times in your examination. In your boards or exams also, answer in one sentence या answer in one word आता है ना, उसमें ही आता है question. Okay. Periosteum, outermost covering of the bone, consists of two layers. Outer layer consists of white fibrous connective tissue. WFCT का full form है white fibrous connective tissue in which blood circulation is present. Inner layer will consist of a single layer of bone cells called as the osteoblast cells. These cells are cube-like in shape, in which oval-shaped nucleus and basophilic granules are present. They divide to form osteocyte and secrete a layer of matrix also. So the osteoblast will give rise to osteocytes and matrix. Okay. Outer is made up of collagen, inner is made up of cube-like cells. Matrix is composed of inorganic and organic compounds. In matrix of the bone, two types of canals are present, Haversian canal and Volkmann's canal. I don't know if you have done this in the lower standards, but I assume you have not done in the lower standards, and I'll teach you everything from scratch. मैं assume करती हूँ कि तुम्हें ये नहीं पता. पता है तो अच्छी बात है, लेकिन अगर नहीं पता है तो I will not take it for granted कि हाँ तुम्हें ये पता होना चाहिए. I'm assuming आपको पता नहीं है. So please pay attention to the most important, most likely questions of this chapter. That is, what is Haversian canals and what are Volkmann canals. Okay. Haversian canals are central longitudinal canals which are arranged parallel to the long axis of the bone. So if this is going to be the bone, okay, the Haversian canals will be arranged parallel to the long axis of the bone. समझ में आया क्या है? Okay, so they are going to be long canals, tube-like structures. Okay, in this canal, one or two blood capillaries and nerve fibers are present. So see, we know that the bone is supplied with what? It is supplied with blood. How will the blood come over there? So the blood is going to be reaching that area via the blood capillaries which are present in these Haversian canals. See, the name of the scientist was Haversian, so the name is Haversian canal. Okay. Volkmann canal are transverse or horizontal or oblique canals. Okay. The Volkmann canals connect the two Haversian canals. तो अगर ये एक हेबर्सियन कनाल है, ये दूसरा हेबर्सियन कनाल है, तो उनको ऐसे ज्वाइन करने वाला जो कनाल है उसको हम कहेंगे वॉकमैन कनाल. It was found out by the scientist called as Walkman. So the canals are called as Walkman canals. So Hebersian canals कैसे होते हैं बेटा? Parallel to the axis of the long bone. Walkman canal कैसे होते हैं? Oblique transfers which connect the two Hebersian canals of the long bones. Did you all understand this much? Then I go into the details of all of them. But यहाँ तक समझ में आया है पूरा का पूरा. We are talking about the bones. Okay, good. Yeah. Now we can talk about the details. See, matrix of the bone is synthesized in the form of a layer called as lamellae. So we saw that the osteoblasts were forming osteocytes and matrix. तो ये जो matrix होता है, ये कैसे दिखता है? So it is in the form of a layer called as lamellae. ठीक है? Presence of Hebersian system is a typical feature of mammalian bones. No one else will show the presence of Hebersian system except the mammalian bones. Osteocytes are present in the lacuna. Each osteocyte is interconnected with adjacent osteocytes by their cytoplasmic processes. Cytoplasmic processes of osteocyte are present in the canals of the lacunae called as canaliculi. So please understand this, बच्चा. इसको थोड़ा सा आपको समझना है. ये देखो. You can see this is the bone cell, that is the osteocyte. Okay. It's going to have the cytoplasm. It has the nuclei. And can you see this protoplasmic processes? Right? These are the protoplasmic processes. Okay. These when get connected to the another such type of cell, we call them as canaliculi. ठीक है. तो इनके अभी बाजू वाला ये जो डायग्राम है इसमें उन्होंने वही दिखाया है. देखो बेटा. So here you can see this is the Hebersian canal. Canal मतलब tunnel, tube-like structure. हाँ. उसके बाजू में क्या है? Just see what is there. उसके आजू बाजू में क्या है? Lamellae. You can see the lamellae. Lamellae is nothing but the matrix, right? So this is the lamellae. You can see the lacuna. Lacuna where the osteocyte will be present. Lacuna के अंदर osteocyte present होता है. And these are the processes of this osteocyte called as canaliculi. So ये जो सारे हैं ये canaliculi है. Protoplasmic processes are nothing but the canaliculi. Understood how it look like? So ये periosteum. You can see the periosteum. You can see the concentric lamella. Concentric lamella मतलब ऐसे आप देख रहे हो कैसे circular circular है एक के अंदर एक, right? In that you can see the Hebersian canal at the center, surrounded by the osteocytes present inside the lacunae, and the lacunae are branching out, which forms the canaliculi. Got it? So this is the TS of the mammalian long bone. बेटा ये ऐसे ही दिखते हैं गोले सारे. Fine ना? No difficulty in understanding? All of you all are okay? So these are the canals of the canaliculi, are the canals of the lacuna. While protoplasmic processes or the cytoplasmic processes are the branching of osteocyte. Fine? ठीक है? That's all with your cartilage and bone. Easy? Simple? Okay. Now we go to the fluid connective tissue. Only two types, blood and lymph. Matrix is liquid and it is fiber free. Blood will not have any fibers. Okay. Composition of the blood: blood cells, blood platelets, plasma, blood cells, RBCs and WBCs, erythrocytes and leukocytes. Leukocytes, granulocytes and agranulocytes. Granulocytes में neutrophils, eosinophils and basophils. Agranulocytes में monocytes and lymphocytes. Now these all we have done in detail in the chapter of circulation. Do you recollect all of them? थोड़ा बहुत याद आ रहा है कभी कभार अगर हमने सब पढ़ा है और उसका अगर आपने रिविजन किया है तो ऑफ कोर्स यू नीड टू रिवाइज दीज थिंग्स, दैट्स फॉर श्योर. याद है ना? अच्छा, अच्छी बात. इसीलिए इसको ज्यादा एलोबरेट करने में पॉइंट नहीं है. लिक्विड पार्ट ऑफ द ब्लड इज प्लाज्मा व्हिच मेक्स अप 55%. Matrix of the blood is called as plasma. It's pale yellow in color due to bilirubin, that is urobilinogen. Composition of plasma around 90 to 92% would be water. 8 to 10% will be the solid part. We have done all these things. In which inorganic and organic compounds would be present. Solid parts would have the blood corpuscles called as the formed elements, which make up 45%, having RBCs, WBCs, and platelets. Packed cell volume, or PVC as we call it as, percent volume or total number of blood corpuscles in the blood. Hematocritic value, or the hematocritic volume as we call it. It is the percent volume or only number of RBCs present in the blood. So if you see a blood report of any person, वहाँ पर है ना ये TCV या PVC % दिया जाता है along with HV. So HV is the hematocritic volume, that is how much RBCs are going to be present in the given blood sample. Okay. RBCs. Erythrocytes, mammalian RBCs are biconcave, circular, non-nucleated. At the time of origin, nucleus is present in the RBCs, but it degenerates during maturation process. Biconcave shape of RBCs increases the surface area. Due to absence of nucleus, in the presence of biconcave shape, more hemoglobin can be filled in the RBC. So even that nucleus का जितना volume है, it will be now filled up by hemoglobin. Okay. Exception is camel and llama. These are the two which will have biconvex, oval shaped and nucleated RBCs. Plasma membrane of RBCs is called as Donan's membrane. In RBC, red colored respiratory pigment called as hemoglobin would be present. So ये points to. It's again like just like you know, it's a small sand, मतलब desert region नहीं मिलते हैं llama. It's an animal. Yeah, it's an animal. Process of formation of RBCs is called as erythropoiesis. Organs which produce RBCs are called as erythropoietic organs. Hormones which stimulate erythropoiesis is called as erythropoietin, which is synthesized by kidney. I hope you all remember in the functions of kidney we had done this, that kidney is responsible for the formation of erythropoietin. First RBC is produced inside by the yolk sac. During embryonic life, RBCs are produced by liver, spleen, placenta, thymus. In adults, RBCs are produced by the red bone marrow, filled with trabeculae of spongy bones. So red bone marrow हमें पता है, bone marrow में ही RBCs बनते हैं. 1% RBCs are destroyed daily, but in same number, new RBCs are entered in the blood. So क्या form? Destruction of RBCs is carried out in the spleen, and therefore it is also called as the graveyard of RBCs. We already know this. Spleen stores excess blood corpuscles also, so it is also called as blood bank of the body. So spleen के दो काम हैं, destroy भी करता है वो degenerated RBCs को, और नए RBCs को store भी करके रखता है excess में है. Leukocytes, WBC is also called as leukocytes because they are colorless. TLC stands for total leukocyte count. Number of WBCs per mm is 8,000 to 11,000 per cubic meter. Leukocytosis, increase in total leukocyte count. This condition occurs in bacterial or viral infections. So if anyone is having any bacterial infection or viral infection, and you go for a blood count, your blood test, ये leukocytosis उसमें दिखने के chances हैं. Leukocytopenia, decrease in TLC. Normally TLC increases in bacterial and viral infection, but in typhoid, AIDS, hepatitis maybe, TLC will decrease. Leukemia, abnormal increase in TLC, which is called as blood cancer. It is generally called as blood cancer. Okay, that is leukemia. The different leukocyte count. Two types, granulocytes and agranulocytes, with granules, without granules. Granulocytes are of three types on the basis of staining characteristics of cytoplasmic granules and shape of nucleus. We have got neutrophils, eosinophils, basophils in 45 to 75%, 1 to 6%, 1 to 6%. Agranulocytes are of two types, monocytes and lymphocytes, 2 to 10%, 20 to 45%. These things also we have done. Platelets, also known as thrombocytes, found only in mammals, while in other vertebrates, spindle corpuscles are present which perform the same function. They are non-nucleated, derived from megakaryocyte of the bone marrow. Its shape, platelets are disc-like, oval shape or biconvex, while spindle corpuscles are in spindle and around nucleus is present in the center. Size is 2 to 3 micrometers. Lifespan is 2 to 4, maximum 5 days. Count 1.4 to 4.5 lakhs per mm. Decrease in the number of platelets is called as thrombocytopenia. Tenia matlab less. Okay. Lymph is like blood but having more RBCs. It is colorless. It is normally having more WBCs than the blood. And these are the lymphocytes which form majority of our connective tissue fluid. It contains little oxygen but a lot of CO2 and metabolic wastes. The lymph vessels are provided with lymph nodes which are found mainly in the head, neck, armpits, near the big blood vessels, etc. So as I told you, the areas where we sweat a lot are the areas where lymph nodes would be present. Neck region, armpits, बहुत ज़्यादा पसीना आता है उस area में. क्यों? Because it is loaded with this lymph nodes. Okay, the lymph nodes form the lymphocytes. They clean the lymph by filtration, and they also help in the formation of antibodies. So lymphocytes are responsible for the formation of antibodies. Is already known to us. We have talked about it in the cells of the connective tissue part today. Okay. Blood and lymph का comparison दिया है. RBCs present, these are absent. WBCs are less. Neutrophils most numerous. WBCs more. Lymphocytes are more numerous. Soluble proteins more than insoluble proteins. Insoluble proteins more than soluble proteins. Amount of nutrients and oxygen is more. Amount of nutrients and oxygen is less. Rather, CO2 is more, I would say. Amount of CO2 and metabolic is normal. Here there is much more amount of CO2 and metabolic waste present in the lymph. So a direct compare and contrast wala chart aapke samne hai. I hope you all are understanding the things. If not, please stop and ask me. Anyone having any problem with understanding of blood and lymph? Easy. We come to the muscular tissue. We have already done muscles, so even this will become very simple for you all. It develops from the mesoderm of embryo. Contractibility is the special property of muscular tissue. The cells of the muscular tissue can shorten considerably and return to their original relaxed state. We have to see also the sliding filament theory, which proves that how the muscle contraction is going to take place and come back to normal. पूरा डिटेल में हमने वो एक्टिन, मायोसिन, उसके कंपोनेंट, सब कंपोनेंट सब कुछ डिटेल में किया हुआ है ना? The muscle cells contract in a definite direction. Functions of muscular tissue to support bone and other structures. They are responsible for heartbeat, production of the sound, etc. Muscles bring movement of the body के अलग-अलग parts. It helps in locomotion as well. Muscles are required for delivering a baby. Without the muscular contraction, expulsion of the baby is not possible. The parturition act requires tremendous muscle contractions. Okay, 40 to 50% of the total body weight is contributed by the muscles. Types of muscles: striated, unstriated, and cardiac. You can see this is the cardiac muscle. Skeletal muscle, also called as striated, and smooth muscles, also called as unstriated. Striated muscles appear stripped. Skeletal, it's called as skeletal or voluntary muscle as well. These muscle fiber occurs in bundles and are attached to the skeleton. We have done this now. How they are attached also we have seen. Correct? Each muscle fiber is surrounded externally by a delicate membrane called as sarcolemma. याद है? पूरा का पूरा मैंने sarcolemma का explanation दिया था आपको. कैसे होता है sarcolemma? In each fiber, many nuclei appear at irregular intervals. So this particular fiber appears to become multinucleated, जिसको हम syncytial कहते हैं. The cytoplasm, that is the sarcoplasm of each fiber, possesses large number of myofibrils, which are tightly packed. We have studied in detail about the structure of myofibrils as well. So see, each myofibril possesses a dark band alternating with a light band and a light band alternating with a dark band. Same thing which we have studied, but as a revision, I'll go ahead with it. Okay. The dark band of myofibril is called as the A band and isotropic band. Each A band possesses a light zone called H zone or Henson's membrane. Remember, in the middle that's got the H zone. Correct? The light band of myofibril is called as I band, isotropic band. Each I band possesses a thick line called as Krause's membrane or Z line कह रहे थे हम लोग उसको in the middle. Krause's membrane is also called as Dobie's line. That's okay. Forget about the synonyms. कोई hey, put a light लगाने का बहुत अंधेरा हो गया. So Krause's membrane also called as Dobie's line, or forget about that Z wala part. Okay, it's not going to be us. It's called as Zwinson-Schiebi line. Right? The portion between the two discs is called as sarcomere. Sarcomere are the functional units of muscle fibrils. I have already explained this, but I just went with the recap. Just see it up. This is the muscle. When you enlarge the muscle, you can see one single muscle fiber. है ना? ये muscle fiber को open करेंगे तो हमें ये myofibrils मिलेंगे. So ये myofibril को zoom करेंगे तो आपको dark और light bands दिखाई देंगे. Right? दो dark bands के बीच में भी have got the M line. This is the Z line, A band, I band. When you zoom these, you will see this is the thick myosin with the thin actin. So blue colored are your actin region, red ones are the myosin regions. Correct? So from one actin zone to the next actin zone, we call it as a sarcomere. Correct? Right? A band has got at the center the M line. Remember all these things? And when you open up one myosin, you get to see a snake-like structure with two subunits of the head, and they are forming a long tail. And actin was having three types of proteins, if you remember, troponin, ट्रोपोमायोसिन. याद है ये सारा हमने किया था एक्टिन के फाइबर के लिए. Same thing has been repeated again. So no need of taking too much of tension because this is done already in locomotion. Still, if anyone is having any difficulty, if anyone is having any problem in understanding the language, please ask me. Anyone who has got any difficulty in understanding these points today. Each sarcomere has two types of myofilaments, a coarse or primary and fine or secondary, which is arranged longitudinally. The primary myofilament is made up of protein called as myosin, whereas the secondary myofilament is made up of three proteins, actin, troponin, and tropomyosin. Besides actin and myosin, muscle fibers also contain calcium ions, phosphate, and ATP. The primary filament, that is the myosin, is confined to A bands only. Correct? Location. Striated muscles are found in the muscles of limbs, tongue, pharynx, the beginning of the esophagus, etc. Function. These muscles are under the control of will. Okay, so they are voluntary muscles. If you want to move, you will move. If you don't want to move, you won't move. Sorry. Okay, so that is your voluntary muscles. I hope you all remember all these things. Smooth muscle, unstriated muscle. Structure, unstriated muscle fiber is also called as smooth, involuntary, unstriated or visceral muscles. Each fiber is elongated or spindle shaped, having single oval nucleus surrounded by the cytoplasm. So these things we had not done in that chapter because that was locomotion, which was purely associated with skeletal muscle. So we hadn't seen in detail about the smooth muscle and cardiac muscle, and that time I had told you all in the chapter of animal tissues, we will be going ahead with these muscles. Each muscle fiber possesses longitudinally arranged myofibrils. The fiber is enclosed by plasma membrane. Unlike striated muscles, there is no sarcolemma. Several of muscle fibers are joined together in bundles to form the loose connective tissue. So it is one of the simplest type of muscle fiber. ये देखो बेटा ऐसे दिखते हैं ये cells है. Okay, they are properly arranged. They have got nucleus which is a bit elongated. Okay, they are a part of the visceral organs. Location: unstriated muscles are found in stomach, intestine, lungs, urinary bladder, urogenital tract, iris of the eye, dermis of the skin, posterior part of the esophagus, anterior palmar muscles of the hair. Okay, all will be having these smooth muscle fibers. What is the function? These muscle fibers help in peristalsis. It causes slow and prolonged contraction, which is involuntary, that is not under the control of will, but are controlled by ANS, autonomic nervous system. We have done neuro, so you know what is autonomic nervous system. So they are going to be under the influence of ANS. So, you know, like the peristaltic movement is the pulsating movement, I would say, okay, of our visceral organs is because of this smooth muscles. ठीक है? कार्डियक मसल्स ऐसे दिखते हैं बेटा, ये देखो ब्रांचिंग भी है और स्ट्राइडेड भी है. So structure of cardiac muscles. A cardiac muscle fibers show character of both the stripped and the unstripped muscles. Fibers in some characteristics, but also have some peculiar characteristics of its own. What are the similarities with the striated muscle fibers? See, they are cylindrical, highly vascularized, having more mitochondria and glycogen granules in the sarcoplasm, and having light and dark bands. So these are the similarities with voluntary muscles. What with the smooth muscles or involuntary muscles? See, they are uninucleate. Your Earlier ones were multinucleate, syncytial conditions था voluntary के लिए. Involuntary के लिए they are uninucleate, which is same like your smooth muscles. Involuntary हार्ट के मसल्स का कॉन्ट्रैक्शन हमारे हाथ में नहीं होता है. Okay, and is also covered by the plasma membrane. It does not have sarcolemma. Okay, so these are the similarities between the two. So cardiac muscle will show some properties of skeletal muscles, some properties of smooth muscles. Fine. Understood? Simple. Unique characteristic क्या है बेटा? Cardiac muscle fibers are joined with each other by flat, dense, zigzag junctions called as intercalated discs. You can see over here, these are the intercalated discs. The black ones. Rings जो आप देखो. They are also called as booster rings. Cardiac muscle fiber is supplied by both CNS and ANS. These muscles never get fatigued. Tired नहीं होते. Tired हो गए तो बंदा खत्म. Cardiac muscles tired हो गए तो क्या हो जाएगा? कहानी उधर खत्म हो जाएगी. So these muscles never get fatigued. Blood capillaries penetrate the cardiac muscle fibers. They have the property of contraction even when they are isolated from the body temporarily. So even if the heart is taken out on the table, it still will have the property of contractibility. Contraction करा सकते हैं temporarily. It shows long refractory periods. Okay, so they can continue this contraction and relaxation in an individual for a very long time. Location, of course. These muscle fibers are found in the wall of the heart and they are richly supplied with blood. समझ में आ गया cardiac भी? Any difficulty in understanding cardiac muscles? Simple. That's all with your cardiac also. That means that's all with your muscular tissue. To end the chapter, we come to the nervous tissue. Okay. So today I'm going to complete this chapter because hardly anything is remaining to complete it. So let's come to the last part. That's the nervous tissue. Nervous tissue originates from the ectoderm of embryo. The special property of the cells of nervous tissue is excitability and conductivity. So you know conduction and excitation. याद है Na plus K plus, polarized, repolarized, depolarized, impulse. हाँ. The cells of the nervous tissue are specialized for receiving stimuli and transmitting messages. It's composed of 4 types of cells: neurons, Microglial cells, Neurosecretary cells, and ependymeric cells. ये भी हमने nervous tissue में किए हैं, but let us revise. Neuron is a nerve cell with all its branches. It's structural and functional unit of nervous system. Neuron is the longest cell of the body. Neuron is formed of 2 parts, cyton and nerve processes. So here you can see this is the cyton or the cell body and these are the nerve processes. Cyton is also called as the cell body or soma. Its shape is variable. Inside its cytoplasm is granular, which is called as neuroplasm. I hope you all remember something called as Nissel's granules are present in them. अगर आपको याद है तो. Therefore, it is granular. It contains nucleus, Golgi bodies, ER, lysosome, fat globules, Nissel's granules, neurofibrils. All will be present in the cytoplasm. Nissel's granules are comparatively large and irregular masses of ribosomes and rough endoplasmic reticulum. It is believed that Nissel's granules synthesize protein in the cell. So the cytons will have a lot of proteins because of Nissel's granules. Nissel's granules are made up of mRNA, endoplasmic reticulum, ribosome, and they have an affinity for basic dyes. So they will stain when we stain them with basic dyes. A mature neuron cannot divide, we know this. Nerve processes are also called as neurites. They are of 2 parts, dendrites and axon. Dendrites may be 1 or several. It is a branch structure. So here you can see You know this, of course. These are the dendrites. Correct? And this is the axon. Correct? It is single long and cylindrical process whose main function is to conduct the nerve impulse away from the site on so that it can act as an efferent in nature. Efferent means taking away from the cell body. It is the longest nerve process of the neuron. Synapse. Synaptic nerve comes to lie very close to the dendrons of the next neuron to form a synapse. There is a microscopic gap of about 200 angstrom, which is called a synaptic cleft. The nerve impulses are transmitted from axon to the dendron with the help of chemical substances called as neurotransmitters, which is either acetylcholine or adrenaline. Okay, or electrical impulses, they have a very small cleft, 2 nanometers now. Acetylcholine or adrenaline is produced by the secretory vessels of the synaptic nerves. We have seen how the secretions are carried via these small vesicles, which then merge with the dendrites of the next cell body. Correct? So हमने पूरा synapse कैसे create होता है वो भी देखा है. Agreed? Types of neurons. So we have got 4 types of neurons depending upon the number of dendron and axon. So this is your unipolar, bipolar, pseudo-unipolar, and multipolar. Okay. Unipolar neurons have a single process. The axons are called as unipolar. Cell body and a single axon. Okay. Unipolar nervous system occurs only in the embryonic form, not in adults. Bipolar, you can see 2 axons are being formed over here. Okay. The neuron having 1 dendron and 1 axon at the opposite poles. They are known as bipolar neurons. They are present in the retina of the eye. In the eye ka function, you remember? In eye, we had seen functioning of the eye. When we had done in neural, we have seen that they have got bipolar neurons. अगर याद है तो मैंने diagram में दिखाया था आपको. Example, bipolar neurons occur in the retina of the eye. Olfactory epithelium, nose, organ of Carti, and taste buds, not taste bonds. Multipolar neurons, they have many dendrons and 1 axon termed as multipolar neuron. Example, multipolar neuron occur in the nervous system of adults. On the basis of functions, they are of 3 types: sensory, motor, and adjuster. Sensory, the one which is going to give the sense, that is going to be in the sense organs, right? So they connect sensory organs with the CNS and bring sensory impulses. Motor or efferent, they connect CNS with the effectors, that is muscles and glands, to carry out motor impulses. Interneurons or adjuster neurons, as we call them, they are present in the central nervous system, that is brain and the spinal cord, and connect 2 or more neurons for quick transmission of the impulses. So just like passing the parcel, you know, the impulses need to be passed from one to the next. So these adjuster neurons are the ones which will carry out these passing the parcel of the impulses. Simple. Sensory, motor, adjuster. All 3 understood? Any difficulty, beta? Clear? Nerve fibers, myelinated and non-myelinated. Correct? So on the basis of number of sheets on nerve fibers are of 2 types: myelinated or medullated or myelinated, and non-medullary or non-myelinated. Medullated or myelinated nerve fibers. In these nerve fibers, around the nerve, a sheath of fatty substances form, which is termed as medullary sheath or myelin sheath. Correct? The medullary sheath is not continuous, and point of absence of medullary sheath is called as nodes of Ranvier. याद है आपको ये? Jump करता है वहां से impulse from the nodes of Ranvier. The part of the medullated nerve fiber between 2 adjacent nodes is called as internode. Medullary sheath forms an insulating coat and prevents loss of energy during conduction of the nerve impulses. Medullary sheath and nodes of Ranvier are surrounded by a transparent membrane or a covering called as neurolemma or Schwann cells. याद है ये word Schwann cells. Huh? Just beneath the neurolemma, a thin layer of cytoplasm is going to be present, which contains nuclei to form the Schwann cells at intervals. These nuclei are called as nuclei of Schwann cells. Medullated nerve fibers are found in brain, spinal cord, cranial, spinal nerves. In the CNS, medullated nerve fibers form the white matter, while non-medullated will form the gray matter. Yeah, that is what. Yes, but you're right. You're right. Non-medullated, these nerves do not have any medullary sheath. Axon is surrounded only by the neurolemma, and just below the neurolemma, a layer of cytoplasm containing nuclei at intervals is present, but no myelin sheath. The nodes of Ranvier and internodes are not present. The non-medullated nerve fiber exists in ANS, not in CNS. The central nervous system, non-medullated nerve fiber are found in the gray matter. Okay, so non-myelinated जो है उसको हम gray matter कहते हैं, myelinated को हम white matter कहते हैं. ये हमने किया है. Cells देखो बेटा, neuroglial cells or glial cells. These are non-nervous cells which lie between neurons of CNS. Non-nervous means they are not going to help in conducting any impulses. Okay. They are present in the ganglia and the retina of the eye as well. They are 10 times approximately more in number as compared to the neurons. They are of following types: microglial cells, astrocytes, oligodendrocytes, etc. Microglial, spindle shape. उनका shape कैसा है? Just like a spindle. Tapering ends होते हैं और बीच में bulged होते हैं. Okay. So here you can see the microglial cells very clearly. Yeah. See, they are bulged at the center. They are tapering at the apexes. Astrocytes like a star. They are highly branched. They look like a star. Oligodendrocytes, see, they have few branched processes which resemble dendrons of the neuron. So they appear to be the dendrons, but they are not the dendrons. They are oligodendrocytes. What are the functions? They act as packaging cells between the neurons. They provide nutrition to the neurons. These act as phagocytes to consume microorganisms if they enter that area. They help in memory process. They insulate the adjoining neurons. So, you know, they are like fillers. Neurons के बीच में वो neurons को support चाहिए from all the sides. So they are like fillers. They'll provide mechanical support. They'll fill up that tissue completely, compactly. That is the function. Simple. Clear about all these? Any doubts in understanding any of the points? Easy है ना? Neurosecretary cells, these are the special type of neurons of the hypothalamus. We have seen this in chemical coordination, neurosecretary cells. जिसको हम nuclei भी कहते हैं. These are endocrine in function and release neurohormones, that is releasing factors, to portal system to the anterior most lobe of the pituitary gland, where they regulate secretion of hormones like thyroid stimulating hormone, GHS, growth hormone, LH, luteinizing hormone, ACTH, adrenocorticotropic hormone, FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, and PLC, that is prolactin. Ependydymal cell, these form the epithelium of the ependydyma that lines the ventricles of the brain. You remember? There are 4 ventricles that we have seen. And the ventricles will be lined by this ependydyma cell. Okay? So they line the ventricles of the brain and the central canal of the spinal cord. These cells are generally ciliated. They will have cilia, ependydymal cells. Yes or no? Any difficulty, any problem in understanding any point? Come on. Samjha? Very clearly? That's all with your chapter of animal tissues. So I hope you all have understood this very nicely. Animal tissues, no difficulty in understanding. Okay, yeah. So we have completed with the structural organization in animals. We have completed it. In the next online lecture, which will be on next Saturday, of course, we are having our online sessions on Saturday to Saturday now. So we will start with a new chapter. Okay. Sure. Bye with us, you all. Have a nice weekend. Study nicely. Give the test and do well.